On our last day in Northern Ireland, we paid a visit to the Steensons jewellers in Glenarm. This is one of their stores and also their workshop. For 40 years, the Steensons have created jewellery, and for the last years they've also been involved in creating something that was quite different from what they've been doing before, namely costume jewellery for Game of Thrones. And they actually have worked on the production since the first season, when they made the A Hand of the King chain, which is unfortunately just glimpsed as Jon Arryn lies in state. And then they've made various crowns, such as Joffrey's golden crown. They've made Marjorie's and Joffrey's wedding crowns, the necklace that Marjorie was given before her wedding, and of course Sansa's infamous necklace. Another infamous piece in terms of the plot is the Lannister pendants that we've seen both Sansa and the Lannister family wearing. Joffrey gave one to Sansa, and then of course we've seen Cersei and Myrcella with them. They've played important parts in the plot. They've made some quite iconic pieces that have been featured across the series in several seasons. The shop in Glenarm also includes the Steenson workshop, and here you can actually see the jewellery being made. You can see the craft in action, and this is why this place is considered an economusée, which is several craftsmen across Northern Europe. Their shops and workshops are designated as economusées, where you can come and see traditional crafts being displayed and learning about the process. What's interesting about the Steensons is that they marry the craft of gold and silversmithing with modern technology, and that they design a lot of the jewelry, especially a lot of the Game of Thrones jewelry, in CAD, and then they either cast pieces or they use that as a basis for the design. So it was quite interesting seeing that they use these different approaches to achieve their ends. In addition to seeing jewelry being made at the store, you're also able to see some examples of what they have made for Game of Thrones. They have a lovely necklace, the one that Marjorie was given for the wedding. They have these beautiful brooches that were actually worn by Lysa Arryn, I think also Robin Arryn, but what we couldn't see on the show was that it has this detail with the Tully fish sort of married with the Arryn imagery. And finally we got to see the crown that Cersei wears in the final episode of season 6, and here it's actually shown without paint that they used to darken it for the shoot. And what we also got to see here was actually an earlier stage of the model, because they had done wax castings through the process to show where they were at. And originally the lion head was supposed to be much more of an actual lion head. Up until recently, the Steensons have only made jewellery for use on the show itself, but now they've actually put out a collection of pieces that you can buy, and they have done this for the 5 sort of most featured houses. You've obviously got Stark, Targaryen and Lannister, as well as Baratheon and Tyrell, and they have 3 different pieces for each house. There is a lovely necklace, there's a beautiful pins, brooches, as well as cufflinks, so there's something for the guys as well. And you know, most of the, I would say that some of the necklaces and pins are also perfectly wearable by guys. And these are going to be available actually just in their stores for the time being. That's the store in Glenarm and in Belfast as well. But you are able to, we spoke to Brona, one of the owners. You can speak to them and get the catalogue of Game of Thrones items sent to you over email, and you know, arrange an order that way. They aren't allowed to sell them online just yet. That's not part of their license so far. But these are really beautiful, well-made pieces with a nice weight to them, I thought. Then the necklace in particular lies really nicely, and the pins are quite large, and I love the detailing that they have on most of the pins and the necklaces, in that you have the house words engraved on them as well. The Tyrell pin has a lovely little detail with a vine coming up the length of the pin, and they are inspired by elements that they have used for the jewelry on the show. So the Targaryen pin is similar to the larger brooches used by Daenerys, and the Tyrell has obviously the rose motif that they used in a lot of the Tyrell designs on the show. A big thank you to Brona and Dan for showing us their shop and their workshop, and also for gifting us the lovely Targaryen pendant and Stark pin. Beautiful things that will treasure for a long time, and I couldn't make it out of the shop without also buying a pair of their beautiful silver earrings. I haven't had my ears re-pierced after they closed up many years ago, so I'm always thrilled when I find real earrings with clip-ons, and Brona also told me that they're able to mount any of their earrings that aren't too small as clip-ons. So if you're in a similar situation to me, I would definitely recommend having a look at their catalog of earrings. And if you are a fan of jewelry, beautiful crafts like this, or if a fan of Game of Thrones, definitely consider taking a look at their store. There's these pieces can be worn whether or not you're a Game of Thrones fan. I feel a lot of them, especially the Tyrell pieces, I think. And then they have so many other beautiful collections that would be lovely on anyone.